Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to this latest installment of Poetic License. I know it's wintertime and everybody's like, I don't know, do I want to be out or how is the weather or what do I want to do? So thank everybody that's come out so far. And I know some people couldn't make it because they've got other plans, and I feel, as I like to say, double plus sad about that. But I have stuff to read for my usual 3 rounds. I was explaining to John earlier on that I saved 2 additional bonus rounds if I wanted to short a poem in. If this stays small, if you want to do more than 2 rounds and do 3 or 4, I might have something to interject in if this crowd doesn't grow. But that's all up to you guys, or we'll see how the time goes. Or we'll take time with our readings, whatever we want to do. But yay for Poetic License, and yay for all of you, and thank you for being here. And that was another thing. I release magazines on the 1st of every month, and I sent for proof copies on like the 10th of the month, like I usually do with every month, and I usually get it by the 20th, 25th, and they're like, you'll get it on January 6th. And I'm like, what? The consumerism of Christmas. So I couldn't get even a proof copy, and they were fine. And so released yesterday was the January 2024 issues of cc&d and Down in the Dirt magazine. John looked at this cover and he thought it was really, really cool. The Cosmos is a Lonely Place is the title of this, named for something from someone in the work, Count DiMaggio's poetry, I believe. And it's got James Webb telescope shot with different forms of light, because there's a different one on the back cover. Yay! So anyway, the Cosmos is a Lonely Place. I'm going to share with you a couple of performance art poems from this section for you. And the first one, performance art, the first one I'm going to share with you is titled Entering Courtroom 101. These are both from a show that was called Rap Sheet. So they're about stuff related to getting caught with the cops, I guess. This first one's called Entering Courtroom 101. The day arrived. We searched for street parking and hoped the rain would stop. Opened the door where we all waited to drop our objects into a bin, to walk through a metal detector, to stick out our arms and spread your legs so guards with wands scan us. Found our way to courtroom 101. Read the signs on the door. Only 1 person per court case is permitted within these walls. So I knew it was time, and we said an abrupt goodbye. I walked in, panicked, wondered what my lawyer looked like. What if I'm called up and she isn't here? What do I do? There were 3 rows of bench rows, so I just sat down close to the door. Rows of chairs flanked the right half instead of those benches. I figured that's where the lawyers sat. I checked my watch again. Court should have started 10 minutes ago. A lawyer called a Hispanic name. A man came out from my row. I moved my legs so that he could leave courtroom 101 to talk to his lawyer. Eventually, a woman in a business suit, skirt, and knee-high galoshes walked over and called my name. My lawyer and I walked out of courtroom 101 to talk. She told me, apparently, all people like me go through this. Just answer the judge's questions. She'll take care of the rest. Came back. My seat was taken, but they made room for me. Looked at my watch. It was 25 minutes since court should have begun. The judge walked in. They told everyone to be quiet and asked one man to remove his cap. The bailiff called a name I didn't know. Someone walked up to the red line, and they started their drill, and the din in the courtroom 101 grew. One defendant down, then another, then another. My mind just started to go numb, like I just jumped out of an airplane. No, it's not like that. I've jumped out of an airplane. That's something I chose to do. I didn't choose this. But like falling 120 mph and like courtroom 101, I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't breathe. I heard my first name, then my last name, pronounced wrong. I walked to the line. My lawyers walked to the bench. The judge then asked for my name. I pronounced it correctly. The judge then spoke. With this charge, you could be sentenced to up to a year in prison. Are you aware of these charges? Yes. The din of courtroom 101 grew louder. You do not have to be in court for your sentencing. You may be sentenced without being present. Do you understand the value of appearing at your trial? Yes. That's when my lawyer started to talk, her lawyer talk. Words I really couldn't hear. Then they nodded, set a date for me to come back, loud enough for me to hear. I agreed. Then I was free to go. I have to come back to courtroom 101, where they decide what to do with me, while I sit in silence, then stand in silence and acquiesce. That sounds so like me. We walked out. I looked for my ride. My knees started to buckle as I tried to breathe again. These were weird pieces that I did. And actually, when I did this performance, I wore orange. There's one of the shots from it that's also in the book. And I have I'm not over 6 feet tall, but the angle of the shot pointing upward made it look like I'm a 6 foot tall convict in this thing or whatever. But I did this whole show. And actually, I had handcuffs. And I think John walked up with me and removed the handcuffs, and then I did the show. It seemed appropriate for it if I'm going to do this thing about it. But I'm going to do one more from that show for you. And it was called The Only Option is Fighting. I've been pacing, mentally racing. I can't sleep. I've been accused. Now, doing something illegal was never a problem, but being arrested by cops with guns for their uniforms, well, that made it hard to clear my head. So I called my lawyer again. Have you looked at the evidence? Do you have the video? I called a few times, and the day before the trial, before my sentencing, the lawyer calls me and says, I'm looking at the video now, and I don't see any reason why this cop stopped you to arrest you. I think we can fight this. I'm a bit stunned. I haven't seen the evidence. Are you sure? Can you check again? And you did, 10 times total. And he saw no evidence to stop me and arrest me for committing a crime. There was no justification. That's when I started to smile. So this is something we can beat? And he said, sure, the next court date will be easy. You won't have to say a word, and I'll just file a motion for quash the arrest and suppress the evidence. There was no reason to stop you, so we should fight this. Wow, I'm starting to get my happy face again. Yeah, it means more trial time, but if the cop was in the wrong, wait a minute, can I sue him for all the pain he's unjustly caused? If he was wrong, then trust me, sometimes the only option is fighting, which is exactly what I'll do. I'm not out yet. They may think that they've won, but they have no idea how well I can fight. You picked the wrong person to try because now you've made a mortal enemy. I'll pit you against yourself, and trust me, I am more than a worthy adversary. I can still play fair and catch you fumbling over your own mistakes. So, the fight is officially on, and may the true winner prevail. It's just appropriate to have a shot with me making a face and pointing at the camera for the end of that one, but it's the 2 shots that I have. It was really kind of an interesting experience to try to be, and I see that Dan Weinberg just showed up, that it was at Cafe Baloo that I walked up and I was like on this thing with the thing to judge my height or whatever to do for this. I would share one more that is in The Cosmos is a Lonely Place. from the show for you. But because I said this is a G to PG rating and it swears a lot, I'm not going to be doing the poem vent, which is how Lorna's laughing. I'm like, it's really, really rude. So I'm like, no, I can't fairly share that one in light of that. But what I would like to share, since my books fell, since General Amiissimo noted that I had all these books, guess what? That whole table fell onto my leg while I was reading. And, oh, I'll have to adjust that later. But the next two pieces, because you guys know it, who are the regulars, know that I usually close out by reading pieces, not only in the current issue of cc&d and the faces that they've got for the pieces, but also in, periodic table poems, because somebody usually always writes stuff to me of periodic table stuff, and I've got even the photos that I might share with you from the performance art section. You can't see them, I get that. But this is not only in A Cosmos is a Lonely Place, the current issue of cc&d, but also the periodic table of poetry. Da-da-da-da. I don't know how to show these off for you guys. But this poem, and I'll do each of them for you as soon as I lost my spot for it. That's the wrong one. I have to go back to it. But they were for poetic license for this one. Thank you. And the first one is, these are both for zirconium. Sorry. You know, you try to come up with things for zirconium, but that's what I did. These were also performed in 2012 in a Chicago show for Beach Poets. Another one that Dan Weinberg might know about, but this is zirconium. So I was at the Gem and Jewelry show with my girlfriend and a man I thought would ask me to marry him one day. And my girlfriend stopped at a booth amongst the rows and rows of vendors and told me to look at this huge engagement ring. Well, I didn't want to look. I didn't want to get my hopes up, but seeing the brilliance of this awe-inspiring stones made me ask for the price of this one particular ring. And they told me it was $375. And we were confused. This ring should be worth at least $2,000. But then we saw that the booth was for cubic zirconia jewelry. How disappointing, we thought. We want the real thing. But looking back, I had to admit that that zirconium was unmistakably breathtaking. I don't know if zirconium is as short-lived as that relationship with that man that went with me to that Gem and Jewelry show in Chicago that I thought would ask me to marry him one day. But if nothing else, at least some zirconium would have been a nice gesture. Although the element zirconium is most common oxide is zirconium dioxide, also known as zirconia, used as a common diamond substitute, the metallic element zirconium is a lustrous grayish-white, soft, ductile, and malleable element. Different from a diamond, I suppose, but also different from that cubic zirconia isotope. I just have to keep remembering that cubic zirconium is not all zirconium is used for. It is used for not only nuclear applications, but also in space and aeronautic industries. Zirconium is used for cladding nuclear reactor fuels. Its materials from zirconium metal and its oxides even used as spare vehicle parts for their resistance to heat. Well, if zirconium isotope has been recently used as a positron emission tomography, PET cameras, so ductile or not, maybe zirconium is pretty strong and exactly at times what I need. I know you got your science lesson, and yes, Beach Poets. I try to reach this so that you guys can see it for Beach Poets. What's the little face on there? I think I got one or two. No, I'll just give you one for that one. But I will go with the last one, which is a short one, which is why I'll even do the extra, the 4 instead of 3. Not only is it in The Cosmos is a Lonely Place, but it is also in Twitterverse periodic table poetry. I can hide my artwork behind on this thing for the second book here. It's Twitter length, it's short, it's sweet, and it is titled Zirconium Brilliance. Here you go. Seeing the nuclear power plants glow on the horizon, I cross state lines, stock up on fireworks to buy 1, get 5 free. But still, their brilliance disappears. I can't afford diamonds, so I bathe you in a bathtub of CZ. They say you're common, but I don't care. You're brilliant. And I have to show because Circle Brewing is now closed, I did the poetry bomb there in front of the brewery at one of them when I was highlighting the stuff from the periodic table. And I got a color tear filter, and actually right now in the live feed I've got a color tear filter going on for the live feed for everybody as well. But anywho, thank you guys for listening. I think, and I had said there was a newbie, I talked about it, hi Dan, and I will give an order. John, hello my darling. I hope the weather is not as awful as it's funny, Dan, I'm getting reports about, oh, there's a snowstorm coming in Chicago, and I'm like, that should have come a week and a half ago. If I know how the weather is in Chicago, you should have hit it already. Like right around New Year's when the hell actually violently hits right around. Usually, I'm like, sometimes I would be like going somewhere in Chicago, and I'm like, hey, I can wear a raincoat because it's in the 50s. It's nice. The football games were going on. They're like, it's in the 50s right now. This is crazy. That usually happens like in the beginning of December, and then boom, that's when you get it. And so I was like, I think you're late for getting the snowstorms, but I'm sure you got them, and blah, 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 and I'll stop talking about Chicago weather. John, you are my man, and you are up next. And then Generalissimo will be following him so that you know, and then Lorna, and then Dan, and then I'll shut up, and I will hope that that our Zoom host, thank you so much, my Zoom host savior. If you're ready to start, I'd love to hear you read poetry. Are you ready?